All right, let's unpack this. We often seek out grand narratives, sweeping sagas of nations and movements, but sometimes the most profound stories, the ones that truly connect with us, aren't found in broad strokes, but in the quiet, precise details of individual lives. Today, we're embarking on exactly that kind of journey, a deep dive into how a collection of seemingly small facts, dates, and locations can weave together a truly compelling and deeply human story.
What's truly fascinating here is how a meticulous compilation of historical records, like the incredible dossier we've received from Hans van Lanschot of Knock, Belgium, allows us to meticulously reconstruct a journey across continents and generations. This isn't just a list of names and dates. It's a testament to resilience, faith, and the quiet shaping of new communities. The sheer level of granular detail Hans has provided forms the bedrock of our understanding today, enabling us to truly see the forest for the trees, one leaf at a time.
That's the mission, isn't it? To extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight from this astonishing stack of sources. We're going to follow one family, the Roels, from a small Belgian town all the way to the American heartland, showing you how every single detail, every record, every census entry, every faded newspaper clipping contributes to a much larger, surprising picture. It's about understanding that the devil, and often the revelation, truly is in the details.
Exactly. This deep dive will illustrate precisely how understanding the what and when allows us to truly grasp the why it matters, revealing the broader context and the ripple effects of the remarkable story across time. So as we begin to trace Bernard Roels' incredible path, what initial details stand out to you, and how do they set the stage for such a monumental life?
Well, our story, this incredible journey, really begins with Bernard Roels, the patriarch who dared to dream bigger than his immediate surroundings. His humble beginnings are quite striking when you consider the life he eventually built and the legacy he left. Bernard was born on March 12, 1839, in a place called Clyte, which was then a quiet agricultural part of Maldegem, Belgium. Picture it. A small-scale farming community, deeply rooted in Catholic faith, where life revolved around the rhythms of the seasons, the local market, and the parish church. This wasn't a place of grand cities or bustling ports. It was a world of mud and soil, tradition, and close-knit families. His parents, Peter Johannes Roels and Emiliane Verbeek, were small-scale farmers themselves, so he was born into a life of hard work and close connection to the land.
And that precise context of a small, traditional farming community is absolutely crucial. It immediately highlights the sheer magnitude of his next step, a decision that would reshape his entire destiny and that of generations to come. It wasn't just a change of scenery, it was a complete reorientation of his life, really.
It truly was, because from this quiet, predictable life, Bernard made an audacious and, quite frankly, monumental decision to emigrate. Sometime in 1873, at the age of 34, so he wasn't a young, fresh-faced teenager seeking adventure, but an established adult, a man of maturity. He left Belgium for the United States. This wasn't just a simple travel plan. It was a profound leap of faith, fraught with uncertainty. What's particularly interesting in our sources is that there are no official passenger records for the initial arrival, which was, incredibly common for immigrants of that era. Ship manifests were often incomplete or lost.
Right.
However, the 1900 U.S. Census actually contains a critical piece of information that confirms his arrival that specific year, 1873. This single line in the census isn't just a date, it's a historical keystone. For genealogists and historians, it's a prime example of how later, seemingly unrelated records can retrospectively validate undocumented journeys, filling crucial gaps in the narratives of countless early immigrants who often arrived without formal manifests. It highlights the detective work required to reconstruct these forgotten lives.
And once you have that anchor, that 1873 date, you can begin to truly imagine the journey itself. We're talking about weeks at sea by steamship, a voyage that, while faster than sailing ships, was still arduous, cramped, and potentially dangerous. For an individual seeking a better future, leaving behind everything familiar, it required immense courage, fortitude, and an almost unthinkable determination. And he wasn't just arriving in any big city on the coast. He made his way directly to Cole County, Missouri, a region that was known for its rugged farmland and was actively attracting new immigrant communities, often specifically Catholic ones. For Bernard, this religious commonality would have been a significant draw, a place where he could find a ready-made community to help him settle.
Arriving in Missouri, the challenges of pioneering life would have been immediate and daunting. We're talking about untamed land that needed clearing, paths that were little more than muddy tracks carved by wagons, and an absolute reliance on self-sufficiency. There were no established support systems as we know them today. Bernard immediately took on the role of a farmer, working the land, clearing fields, and quite literally carving out his future from the Missouri wilderness. This truly encapsulates that iconic American pioneering spirit. But then, this is where the story takes a truly unexpected turn, where those granular details become so incredibly important for our understanding, adding layers of nuance we wouldn't otherwise grasp.
Indeed. Despite having already established a foothold, a life in America, Bernard felt this undeniable pull of home in the late 1870s. The sources don't specify why he returned to Belgium. Was it to visit family he missed dearly? To settle some lingering affairs? Or simply out of an intense, perhaps overwhelming longing for his homeland, a profound sense of nostalgia that many immigrants experience even after building a new life elsewhere? This raises an important question about the emotional ties that bind people to their origins, ties that can be stronger than any ocean. His return wasn't just a trip, it was a pivotal decision that profoundly shaped the rest of his life and indeed the very future of his entire family line. It's a testament to the complex push and pull of immigrant identity.
And this mysterious return culminates in a very specific pivotal event that Hans van Lanschot's meticulous research allows us to witness almost in real time: his marriage to Natalie Danens on April 23, 1880, in Maldegem. This is where the magic of the deep dive truly happens, because we have the actual details from their marriage certificate, and they are incredibly rich with information, painting a vivid picture of the era.
Yes, unpacking the marriage certificate itself is a deep dive into the customs, legalities, and social realities of 19th century Belgian life. First, the precise specifics. It took place on April 23, 1880, at 5 p.m., held at the town hall of Maldegem, in the district of Ghent, province of East Flanders. This isn't just a collection of numbers, it sets the scene precisely, allowing us to visualize the formality of the occasion, perhaps a quiet, late-afternoon ceremony. The official conducting the ceremony was Charles Louis van Maffert, the local alderman, a figure of civic authority, ensuring the legal and formal nature of this union. This wasn't just a church blessing, it was a binding civil contract.
And the details about Bernard himself are just as illuminating. He's listed as Bernardus Roels, a small-scale farmer, which reinforces his humble agricultural background. He's noted as born in Maldegem on March 12, 1839, residing there and unmarried, of legal age. Crucially, the certificate notes that both his parents, Peter Johannes Roels and Emilienne Verbeek, had passed away his father in 1867 and his mother way back in 1855. This tells us he had been an orphan for many years prior to this marriage, perhaps contributing to his self-reliance and the audacious decision to emigrate alone years earlier. These details ground his status and family background very clearly, giving us a stronger sense of his individual journey.
Natalie Danens, the bride, is also described as a small-scale farmer, born on August 18, 1857, also in Maldegem. But here's a subtle yet significant detail that highlights the interconnectedness of communities even across borders. She was legally residing in Maldegem, but currently living in Ede, Holland. Unquote. This small piece of information points to cross-border connections, suggesting either family ties or work opportunities that extended beyond the immediate Belgian frontier into neighboring Holland. Her parents, Johannes Danens, 61, and Amelia Verven, 58, were both present at the ceremony and gave their explicit consent, highlighting the profound importance of family involvement and parental approval in that era, especially for a woman of Natalie's age.
The formalities outlined in the certificate are also quite telling about the legal rigor of the time. The announcements and public postings of their intent to marry were meticulously made in Maldegem on April 4th and 11th, and then in Ede, Holland, on April 11th and 18th. This demonstrates the legal diligence required, especially with Natalie having connections across the border. It ensured full public awareness and no hidden impediments. The certificate also confirmed there were no prenuptial agreements, which, while common for small-scale farmers who often shared labor and resources, is a detail that speaks to the financial realities and trust between them. And it was confirmed that there were no other legal obstacles to the marriage.
The ceremony itself was conducted precisely in accordance with the 6th chapter of the Civil Code, emphasizing its strict adherence to established law rather than just a religious rite. After both Bernard and Natalie affirmatively answered the required questions, they were formally declared united in marriage in the name of the law. The witnesses present were Honoré Potflish, a brewer, Gustav Titgat, also a brewer, Peter van Moffert, a merchant, and Lucien van Nieuwenhuis, another merchant. All resided in Maldegem, and here's a significant detail that reveals much about legal practices of the time. They were unrelated to the couple. The choice of witnesses unrelated to the couple wasn't just a preference, it was often a legal requirement. In 19th century society, where family ties could heavily influence inheritances and property rights, independent witnesses ensured the marriage's impartiality and legal validity, protecting both Bernard and Natalie and their future children from potential disputes down the line.
And finally, a truly poignant detail that offers a powerful glimpse into educational access and societal norms of the era. Bernard and the four witnesses all signed the document, indicating their literacy. But Natalie and her consenting parents explicitly declared that they could not write or sign due to illiteracy. This isn't just a minor point. It's a stark reminder of the educational disparities of the 19th century, especially for women in rural agricultural communities like Maldegem. It speaks volumes about the societal norms and the limited access to schooling for many, adding a crucial layer to our understanding of Natalie's background and the challenges she overcame to build a new life. These aren't just dry facts. They truly paint a vivid picture of two people, their families, and the society they navigated.
It truly does. And the swiftness of their next move, armed with this newly formalized union, is equally striking and speaks of their shared determination.
That's right, because the newlyweds wasted no time. They quickly embarked for America, resuming Bernard's commitment to the new world he had begun to build. This wasn't a leisurely honeymoon. It was a purposeful, perhaps urgent journey to establish their shared future. And their immediate presence in the U.S. is truly remarkable for the period. By June 10, 1880, just weeks after their wedding in Belgium, Bernard and Natalie are already listed in the U.S. Census, living in Liberty Township, Cole County, Missouri. That swift transition, crossing an ocean and settling into a new home and a new life, speaks volumes about their determination and the sheer physical and logistical feat involved in transplanting an entire family across continents in that era.
Their commitment to this new land was further solidified when Bernard became a naturalized U.S. citizen on October 17, 1881. This wasn't just a formality. It was a profound declaration of intent, a deep dedication to his new homeland, signaling his desire to integrate and become a permanent part of the American fabric. It was a conscious choice to invest his future and his family's future in this new country. And his accomplishments went far beyond just citizenship. He began to truly claim his place.
Yes, his work ethic and ambition paid off in spades. Over the years, he acquired a substantial amount of land, 120 acres. For an immigrant farmer in that era, this was an enormous achievement, effectively securing his family's economic future. He meticulously claimed prime, contiguous parcels of land, the N.half of the NW zone, as the and award also in the NW order of Section 10 of Cole County, demonstrating foresight and a deep commitment to his new home and a practical understanding of how to build wealth through land ownership. By the mid-1880s, the Roels family was deeply embedded in a growing Catholic farming community, becoming part of the early settlers of what would eventually be known as Mary's Home, Missouri. These communities were vital social and spiritual anchors for immigrants.
But we should be clear, it wasn't an easy life, despite their successes. The sources, through the words of Father Cosmo Seeberger, a local priest from that time, paint a vivid picture of the harsh realities of the frontier. He described the land as rough and sparsely settled, with few cleared fields. Travel was primarily by foot, mule, or by flatboat along the treacherous Osage River. This detail helps us truly appreciate the daily struggle and the profound isolation they faced. Imagine trying to grow crops on uncleared land, navigating muddy paths, and having limited access to supplies or medical care. It required a unique blend of grit and ingenuity.
It sounds incredibly challenging, almost unimaginable by today's standards. Yet despite these formidable difficulties, the settlers were united by their deep faith and an unwavering determination. Their shared Catholic identity clearly played a crucial role in forming these early communities, acting as a social glue and a source of strength that helped them endure and thrive in such a demanding environment.
And this brings us to an interesting land ownership puzzle that the detailed sources beautifully help us resolve, highlighting the power of cross-referencing. While Bernard was listed as an owner of his 120 acres in the 1900 census, later sources actually confirm he had sold his property before 1903. This isn't a contradiction, but a nuance. It's subtly clarified through a fascinating newspaper mention about his daughter Lena, who visited Mary's home. The article notes she was born and raised on the old Ben Roels farm, now owned by J.F. Coetting, and another mention later identifies it as belonging to the late Herman Coetting. This seemingly small detail about the old Ben Roels farm being sold before 1903 isn't just about property. It offers a crucial insight into immigrant financial strategies. It suggests Bernard, perhaps anticipating his later years or planning for his children's future after Natalie's passing, made a strategic divestment. This wasn't a failure, but likely a calculated move to consolidate resources or transition to a different phase of life, a practical, yet often overlooked aspect of pioneering economic realities. These cross-references are exactly why paying attention to every detail is so critical in historical research.
That's a perfect illustration of how every piece of information, no matter how tiny, adds to the complete picture. But as is often the case in life, even with success in the establishment of a new home, tragedy can strike. And it certainly did for the Roels family, profoundly impacting their future. #tag loss in the shaping of a family.
A profound truth. Tragedy struck the Roels family with devastating force in 1899 when Natalie, Bernard's wife and the mother of his children, passed away at Mary's home, Miller County, Missouri, on April 5, 1899. She was only 41 years old, still relatively young, and the loss must have been absolutely shattering.
And the profound impact of this loss simply cannot be overstated. She left Bernard a widower with 8 children. Think about that for a moment. Managing a frontier farm, raising 8 children, many of them quite young, all without a mother in that challenging environment, would have been an immense and sudden burden on Bernard, physically, emotionally, and financially. It's a testament to his incredible resilience that he managed to continue to keep the family together. The records note she was buried quickly on April 7, 1899, at Mary's home cemetery, reflecting the swift necessities of the time.
Bernard, despite the immense personal loss, continued to push forward for his children. By June 17, 1900, just over a year after Natalie's death, he was still listed in the U.S. Census for Jim Henry Township, Miller County, Missouri, bravely continuing to farm to support his large family. However, we know he made another significant shift in his life. Sometime before 1903, he sold his farmland. As we discussed, this could have been a strategic decision, perhaps to provide for his children or to seek a new direction, especially after bearing such a heavy burden alone. The sources don't explicitly state the reason, but it marks a pivot in his life, moving him away from the direct demands of farming.
And after this, his exact whereabouts became a bit more difficult to trace in subsequent years, which is a common challenge in genealogical research when the paper trail thins out. He doesn't appear in the 1910 census, leaving a bit of a gap in his story. But thanks to Hans van Landschoot's persistence in collecting these scattered details, his journey picks up again later.
Yes. By 1920, we find him settled in Van Buren, Newton County, Missouri, and notably, he was no longer listed as a farmer. He was living with his son, William, who, as we'll soon hear, had become a priest. This detail is crucial. It shows the intergenerational support within the family, and perhaps a slowing down for Bernard in his later years, relying on the care and support of his adult son. His story, if we zoom out to the broader canvas of American immigration, is a microcosm of countless untold stories. The immense resilience required to leave everything, the profound sacrifices made for future generations, and the relentless adaptation demanded by a new land, new challenges, and personal loss. It's the very fabric of how America was settled and shaped by individual daring.
And his life, marked by such significant leaps and losses, was long and full. Bernard Roels died on February 8, 1929, at Millwood, Lincoln County, Missouri, at the impressive age of 89. He was buried on February 11, 1929, at St. Alphonsus Cemetery, also known as Millwood Cemetery. What's interesting is an initial note in the sources about there being no records for Bernard at Millwood, and the assumption that he must have been buried at Mary's home with his wife, Natalie. This is a fascinating detail in the research process itself, hinting at the very real challenges and detective work involved in genealogical research, and how careful attention to all available details can sometimes confirm or refute initial assumptions, leading to a more accurate historical record.
It truly shows the human element, even in the historical pursuit of facts.
That's a great point. And now, armed with this foundational understanding of Bernard and Natalie, let's explore the individual journeys and legacies of their children, because their lives further illustrate the diverse paths available in the New World, shaped by the foundations their parents laid, and how those small details continue to paint unique portraits. Let's start with Edward, the first child born in America, in July 1880 in Cole County, Missouri, just months after his parents' transatlantic marriage. He was truly a first-generation American from day one, born right into that pioneering environment. He eventually made a significant westward movement, a common path for many seeking new opportunities in the rapidly expanding United States. He appeared in the 1910 census in Bucksport, Humboldt County, California, listed as a teamster, a vital and physically demanding job involving managing horses and wagons for transport, likely in the timber industry, which was booming in that region. By 1920, he was still in Humboldt County, and by 1930, we find him in Eureka City, working as a janitor in a hotel. This progression of jobs, from outdoor labor to indoor service, shows a clear adaptation to available opportunities and the evolving American economy.
And here's a curious detail that highlights the potential for inaccuracies even in official historical records. The 1930 census incorrectly stated his parents were of German ancestry. We know from the precise Belgian marriage certificate details that they were clearly Belgian. This is a critical reminder that while census records are invaluable, they are not infallible. It underscores the need for cross-referencing and the critical eye that Hans van Lanschot has brought to this research. How common were these kinds of inaccuracies in early census records, and what does that teach us about the challenges of relying solely on one source in genealogical research? It teaches us that every detail must be interrogated and confirmed.
That's a great point. You have to be a detective. Edward married Mary Myers after May 1920, and Mary's own life story, as detailed in the sources, is incredibly interesting and quite progressive for a woman of her time. She was born on September 16, 1877, in Novato, Marin County, California, making her a true California native. She was educated, attending a business college, which was less common for women then, and then, impressively, she taught for 4 years in a business college in San Francisco. This speaks volumes about her ambition, her skills, and the changing roles for women at the turn of the century. After her marriage to Edward, they lived in Eureka for 12 years, where Edward has shifted his career again, operating a lumber company, a different, more entrepreneurial venture than his earlier janitorial work, perhaps a sign of their growing prosperity.
Upon Edward's retirement from the lumber business, they moved to Point Reyes Station, and Mary took on a significant public role herself, becoming a postmaster for 15 years, a position of considerable responsibility and trust within a community. She finally retired just 3 years before her death. The 1940 census further notes her as a homeowner, with her home valued at $800, and confirms her role as postmaster. This shows her independence and continued contribution even after her husband's retirement. Even after Edward's death, she continued to be a self-sufficient and contributing member of the community. The 1950 census then shows her living with her sister in Lodi, California, and by then she was listed as a librarian, demonstrating yet another adaptation in her working life and her lifelong commitment to intellectual pursuits. She was also a member of the Companions of Foresters of America, Point Reyes Circle, No. 1018, which gives us insight into her social and community involvement, painting a full picture of a dynamic woman.
Their deaths are also meticulously recorded. Edward died in 1939 in Point Reyes Station and was buried at Alima Cemetery. Mary passed away on January 26, 1954, at age 76 after a long illness. Her funeral services were held from Keaton's mortuary with a requiem mass at Sacred Heart Church, Point Reyes Station. The recitation of the Rosary was also held at the mortuary. The detail provided about her postmaster career and successor, George Gallagher, and her remaining family, a sister and 2 grandnieces, paints a very full picture of her life and connections, showing the lasting impact she had. These granular facts transform a simple name into a vibrant individual, truly bringing them to life.
Let's shift our focus to Franciscus Leopold and Helena Anna, 2 more of Bernard and Natalie's children whose stories, though sometimes brief in the records we have, nonetheless offer compelling glimpses into different life paths. Franciscus Leopold was born on September 14, 1882, in Jim Henry Township, Miller County, Missouri. His story, though brief, hints at a more tumultuous personal life. He married Bertha Richardson around 1919 in New Orleans, Louisiana, but they were divorced around 1920 in Miller County, Missouri. A marriage and a swift divorce within a year, this suggests a complex, unrecorded narrative, perhaps a difficult period that was more common than records typically show. Divorce, while not unheard of, carried a significant social stigma at the time. He died relatively young, on April 13, 1924, at age 41. These few details speak volumes about a life that, for reasons lost to history, took a different and perhaps more challenging turn than some of his siblings.
And then there's Helena Anna, known affectionately as Lena, born on April 10, 1886, also in Jim Henry Township, Miller County, Missouri. We have a particularly interesting piece of information about her. An 1888 letter from her uncle Ambroise mentions that a 4th child, a daughter, was born, which, given the dates, must be Helena. This is another prime example of how small, seemingly tangential details from one source, a personal letter in this case, can confirm or add color to another, helping to piece together the family tree and the precise timeline, connecting you directly to the family as if you're reading over their shoulder.
Indeed. She married Chester Bushnell in 1906 in Missouri. An important newspaper mention, which we talked about earlier in relation to Bernard's farm, recounts Mr. and Mrs. Bushnell, Lena, visiting Mary's home. The article specifically notes she was born and reared on the old Ben Roels farm, now owned by J.F. Coetting, Cook. This not only places her physically back in her childhood home, but also subtly, yet precisely, clarifies the history of the family farm after Bernard sold it, confirming that land transaction and its ongoing significance in the community. Lena died on May 18, 1935, in Larkin, Dade County, Florida, at age 49, again showing a relocation, following other family members or seeking new horizons.
Now, let's turn our attention to one of the most remarkable figures in the Roels family, William F. His life story is exceptionally well documented, thanks again to Hans van Landschoot's meticulous compilation of sources. William was born on February 28, 1888, near Mary's home. His early education was a mix. He attended a Red Variety District school for one term, then shifted to St. Mary's Parochial School for 7 years. This dual experience in schooling is a small but telling detail about the educational opportunities of the time, often reflecting the availability of secular public schools versus faith-based private ones, and the choices families made for their children's upbringing.
A critical turning point in William's young life, and indeed his destiny, was his mother Natalie's untimely death on April 5, 1899. The sources describe it as a calamity that broke up the home. Imagine the sheer crushing burden on Bernard, and the profound emotional loss for young William, who was just 11 years old. This profound personal loss clearly influenced his path. In September 1900, just over a year after his mother's passing, he entered the Pontifical College Josephinum in Columbus, Ohio. This decision, as the records state, was to fulfill childhood desires and answer his mother's prayers, highlighting the deep connection between his personal tragedy, his unwavering faith, and his vocational calling to the priesthood. It's a powerful narrative of finding purpose amidst hardship.
And this path to the priesthood was steadfast and deeply rooted in his origins. He was ordained a priest on June 7, 1913, in Kansas City, Missouri, as part of a class of 12, by the apostolic delegate, Very Reverend J. Bonzano. This specific detail of the apostolic delegate officiating underscores the high ecclesiastical significance of his ordination, placing it within the broader hierarchy of the Catholic Church. Just 10 days later, on June 17, 1913, he celebrated his first solemn Mass at Mary's home, which was particularly meaningful as it was the very place where he was baptized and made his first Holy Communion. It truly brought his journey full circle, an early sign of his deep connection to his community and roots.
His priestly career was remarkably diverse and characterized by immense commitment and a trailblazing spirit. After ordination, he started as an assistant at the Cathedral Parish in Kansas City in 1913, where he also taught 3 periods at the junior seminary, demonstrating his intellectual capabilities and dedication to fostering new vocations. Then, in 1915, he was an assistant at Joplin, and from 1916 to 1917, he served as pastor of Carthage Parish, gaining valuable experience. What's particularly fascinating here is his next assignment. Pastor of Sarcoxy Parish and its mission, Wentworth, from 1917 to 1924. He was notably the first priest in the Diocese of Kansas City to say Mass every Sunday at the mission, a detail that speaks volumes about his dedication to outreach and serving remote communities. This wasn't just a duty, it was a profound commitment to his parishioners, ensuring consistent spiritual guidance even for those in isolated areas.
And among these serious details of his clerical duties, we have a wonderfully quirky anecdote from December 1920, while he was still at Sarcoxy. During a hunt, he shot a hawk that measured an impressive 52 inches from wingtip to wingtip. A 52-inch hawk. That's a truly incredible, almost cinematic detail.
Yeah.
What does that tell us about Father Roels beyond his priestly duties, about the man himself? It certainly suggests he was a man of the outdoors, skilled and active, not confined to the rectory. We also have his draft card from June 5, 1918, which describes him as tall, slender, with dark blue eyes and brown hair. These seemingly small personal characteristics help us visualize him, making him feel more real, more human, beyond his formal title.
His longest tenure was at Montrose, from 1924 to 1941, a significant period of 17 years. His time here was clearly marked by exceptionally high standards of religious leadership, meticulous and practical management of both church and school affairs, and a strong sense of civic responsibility that extended beyond his parish duties. He was regarded by the community as a strong man, a just man, and a man of wisdom and sound judgment. These are powerful accolades, painting a picture of a truly beloved and highly respected figure, someone who was not only a spiritual guide, but also a foundational pillar of his community.
Then, in 1941, he became pastor of Boonville. Later, in May 1953, due to a long-standing heart condition, he moved into semi-retirement as chaplain of St. John's Hospital in Joplin. But perhaps one of the most vividly detailed accounts of his life, a true centerpiece of our sources, comes from his Silver Jubilee. This event wasn't just a personal milestone, it was a community-wide celebration, meticulously recorded, allowing us to almost step back in time.
His 25th anniversary as a priest, celebrated on June 7, 1938, was indeed a major community event in Montrose, and the sources provide incredibly meticulous details which really illustrate the importance of such occasions in rural communities and the esteem in which he was held. Months of vigorous preparation had gone into the plans, with the entire community pitching in, and the weather was perfect after a rainy night, adding to the festive atmosphere. It was clearly a day everyone had been looking forward to.
The day itself began with a solemn high mass at 10 a.m., with a procession forming at the rectory, led by St. Mary's Children's Chorus. The sources even named the specific officers of the Mass: Reverend William F. Roels as celebrant, Reverend H.J. Bright as deacon, Reverend Harold Beeler as subdeacon, and Reverend Charles Bauer as Master of Ceremonies. The sermon was given by Reverend F.J. Nober. This level of detail shows the careful planning and reverence for the event, highlighting the importance of every role in the solemn ceremony.
A very pleasing and particularly charming feature of the Mass was the children's role, showcasing their integral community involvement. Rose Swatters took the part of the bride, carrying the cushion. Mary Virginia Stout and Ruth Schnobelin were flower girls. Anne Ronald Putoff and Arthur Haig served as pages, all dressed in ankle-length white satin dresses. It paints a charming and memorable picture of the ceremony, emphasizing the intergenerational participation and the community's affection for Father Roels.
Following the Mass, a huge chicken dinner was served at noon in St. Mary's School auditorium. The sheer scale of it is evident from the fact that it took 2 hours to feed an estimated 500 people, and they even needed an emergency call for more food supplies.
Wow.
Can you imagine the joyful chaos of that day, needing to call for more chickens? That's the kind of joyful chaos that truly brings this historical event to life, showing the unexpected challenges of hosting such a large, enthusiastic gathering.
The afternoon program was equally elaborate, reflecting the community's full commitment to the celebration. Reverend Beeler served as Toastmaster, expertly guiding the festivities. An outstanding performance was given by the St. Mary's Children's Chorus in pretty costumes, directed by Sister Emma Nunciat, to whom much credit was given for her careful training. The beautiful decorations of the table, hall, and stage were noted as being very appropriate for the Silver Jubilee celebration. 22 visiting priests sat at the speaker's table with other notables, and Reverend Roels, of course, had the seat of honor. This highlights his broad network and high standing within the church, with so many of his peers traveling to honor him.
Many telegrams and letters of congratulation were read, showcasing the widespread well wishes and the esteem in which he was held, not just locally but more broadly. Music was provided by the Montrose Mixed Chorus and Men's Chorus, adding to the festive atmosphere. Father Nober even performed 2 impromptu numbers of a lighter strain, which were a distinct hit, adding a spontaneous and joyful element to the day, showing the lighter side of these formal gatherings.
What's truly remarkable, if we connect this to the bigger picture of longevity and dedication in demanding professions, is an item of interest noted in connection with the anniversary. All 12 of his ordination classmates were still living and active 25 years later. That's an incredible statistic for any profession, let alone one as demanding as the priesthood during that era, reflecting perhaps good health, strong bonds, and a shared sense of purpose.
The climax of the day's festivities was an excellent address by Monsignor Schilling, followed by guest speaker Albert N. Brownsberger. Brownsberger then presented Father Roels with a purse of $550.20 from the parish, which was a substantial sum for the time, a true testament to their generosity. But here's the kicker, the very specific and heartwarming stipulation attached to it: he must take a vacation. The reason given: in 25 years of his ministry, he had only been absent from his parish and unable to say Mass there on 3 Sundays.
3 Sundays in 25 years.
Right. This tiny detail speaks volumes about his profound, almost unbelievable dedication to his flock. It's a remarkable insight into his character.
And he actually planned to take that much-needed vacation. He intended a 6-week trip to California in late June, accompanied by Reverend Nober. This was quite a journey for the time, a true opportunity for rest and renewal. His siblings Edward, Leo, and Sister Blanche also attended the celebration, underscoring the enduring family ties and the importance of this milestone to his entire family. Just after the Jubilee, he read Mass in Mary's home on June 14, 1938, accompanied by his brother Edward, further illustrating his connection to his roots and family, a powerful bond that spanned continents and generations.
His impact wasn't just within the church or his immediate community. He gave a powerful Armistice Day address on November 11, 1940, at Clinton High School as part of the Patriotic Parade. This was a critical time, with World War II raging in Europe and America pondering its role.
This address provides incredible insight into his views and the public sentiment of the time. His core message was a resounding statement of American resilience. Quote, "No country will invade us at any time because of the spirit that lies in the heart and mind of every American." End quote, quote. He emphasized unique American patriotism, claiming it couldn't be found elsewhere, a powerful sentiment during a period of rising global conflict. He then starkly contrasted the glamour of uniforms and parades with the horrifying reality of a soldier in a muddy trench, suggesting that 13 million caskets reaching from New York to San Francisco, along with cripples, shell-shocked veterans, widows, and orphans, would be the true picture of war. It was a sobering, powerful, and deeply realistic message urging caution and remembrance.
He also stressed civic duty, stating that our country will remain only government it is as we make it. The less government we have by law, the more government we must have over our individual selves. He used a compelling analogy from the Bible, the story of Jacob and Esau selling their birthright for porridge, to illustrate the importance of making sacrifices for future generations. It truly shows his ability to connect spiritual teachings with contemporary civic responsibilities, a sign of a truly insightful community leader.
The tribute service that followed was equally moving, adding another layer to the community's collective memory. An open-door candle service honored WWI dead, given by American Legion Auxiliary members. As Roy Nolt announced the names of fallen men from Clem P. Dickinson, Earl J. Douglas, Chalk Graham, Ted Walters, James Wise, and others, each was commemorated with a white chrysanthemum pinned on a wreath. Mrs. Symes gave a fitting tribute to the unknown soldier, to which Mrs. W.C. Hurl, president of the American Legion Auxiliary, responded. These specific names and rituals provide a poignant detail about how communities remembered their sacrifices, creating a shared sense of loss and honor that transcended individual families.
In terms of honors, he was made a papal chamberlain in October 1948 and a domestic prelate in 1954, signifying his high standing within the Catholic Church and his long dedicated service. Beyond his formal titles, he was remembered as a gifted singer, organizing both church and community choirs, and a skilled tennis player who kept abreast of community affairs, showing his well-rounded nature and engagement with life outside of his spiritual duties. He died on November 17, 1955, in Kansas City, Missouri, at age 67, due to a long illness. His funeral services were officiated by Archbishop Edwin B. O'Hara, and he was buried back in Mary's home, bringing his life full circle to the place he began. He was survived by Sister Blanche and an unnamed invalid sister in Jefferson City, who we can infer was Clara, a detail we will come to shortly.
Let's turn to Leo August and Amanda Elizabeth, two more of Bernard and Natalie's children who forged their own unique paths. Leo August was born on January 27, 1890, in Miller County, Missouri. He married Marion Marie Kay around 1920 in Ramsey County, Minnesota. This move to Minnesota suggests he, like his brother Edward, sought opportunities away from the Missouri heartland, contributing to the great internal migrations within the U.S. He died on September 27, 1949, in St. Paul, Minnesota, at age 59, and was buried in New Richmond Cemetery, Wisconsin. His details are more concise, but still provide the essential milestones of a life lived, another branch of the Roels family tree finding its way across the American landscape.
Amanda Elizabeth, known as Irene, was born on March 31, 1892, in Jim Henry Township, Miller County, Missouri. Her wedding to Arnold Edlin, who was born November 4, 1884, in Millwood, Missouri, took place on February 11, 1919, in the Kansas City Cathedral. It was another significant family affair, as her brother, Reverend Father W. Roels, performed the ceremony and officiated at a solemn high mass, cementing his role as a spiritual leader within his own family. The sources give specific musical details, including Mr. Hans C. Fell playing the wedding march and the cathedral choir rendering special music. This adds a touch to the solemn and celebratory atmosphere of the day, allowing us to picture the scene.
The description of Irene's attire is quite precise, adding to the vividness of the account. She was gowned in white georgette crepe over canary-colored satin with a matching picture hat, and carried a bouquet of bride's roses. Her bridesmaid, Miss Marie E. Vogt, was dressed in pink and white crepe de chine with a pink georgette hat and carried pink roses. Mr. Francis A. Roach acted as best man. These details give us a sense of the fashion and customs of a wedding in that era. The newlyweds then left for an Eastern wedding trip, a significant undertaking for that time, implying a level of prosperity and leisure that was not afforded to all.
Arnold also had military service beginning on September 18, 1917, in Silax, Missouri, likely during World War I, which adds another dimension to his life story and the experiences of this generation. In the 1930 census, Irene and Arnold lived with his younger brother Henry's family, indicating a period of shared living or perhaps economic necessity during the Great Depression. By 1940, they were renting a home in Liberty, Crawford County, Missouri, where Arnold was listed as a farmer. They are not found in the 1950 census, again showing how difficult it can be to follow every detail over time and the challenges of historical tracing. Irene died on July 30, 1960, at the University of Missouri Medical Center, Columbia, at age 68, and was buried at Our Lady of the Snow Cemetery, Mary's Home. Arnold died on August 2, 1968, in Missouri at age 83, and was buried at St. Alphonsus Cemetery, Millwood.
Now, let's turn to Maria Sophia, better known as Sister Blanche, another incredibly dedicated member of this family whose life was defined by faith and service. She was born on September 27, 1894, in Mary's Home, Miller County, Missouri. Her early life was marked by immense loss, similar to her brother William. Her parents died when she was very young, leading her to live in Kuma, Ruma, at an early age, likely with relatives or in an institutional setting. This early experience of loss profoundly shaped her desire for the stability and spiritual purpose she eventually found in religious life, a common path for young women seeking meaning and security in that era.
Her life was indeed one of profound devotion and service. Her desire to join the religious community led her to make her first profession of vows on July 16, 1912, a significant commitment at a young age. By 1916, she was officially known as Sister Blanche. What's truly extraordinary and a testament to her unwavering commitment is that she was a professed member of her congregation for 70 years.
70 years.
That's an entire lifetime dedicated to her faith and her calling, enduring through decades of immense societal change.
For 59 of those incredible 70 years, Sister Blanche served as an elementary school teacher, educating generations of children. Her very first assignment from 1908 to 1909 was at St. Joseph's School as a postulant. She vividly recalled the profound poverty of many families there, with children bringing just a piece of bread and a bit of garlic to school for their lunch. This tiny, incredibly poignant detail offers a powerful, almost heartbreaking glimpse into the stark realities of the time and the deep-seated poverty some families endured. It humanizes the historical record in a remarkable way, showing the conditions in which she began her teaching career and the challenges her young students faced.
She clearly made a lasting impact wherever she went, showing remarkable dedication and skill. She taught for 28 years at St. Andrew's School in Murfreesboro, Illinois, where she truly endeared herself to families, often returning multiple times, which speaks to her effectiveness and deep connection with the community. She also taught for 3 years each in Dupo, Smithton, and at the Mother House, where she taught music, showcasing her diverse talents, and for 7 years in Mount Carmel, plus shorter stints elsewhere. She was incredibly versatile and dedicated, moving wherever her order needed her, demonstrating a life of selfless service.
Beyond her teaching, for 27 of those years, she served as a local superior of various communities, demonstrating her leadership abilities and administrative acumen within the congregation. She was often a parish organist, combining her musical talents with her spiritual duties, and even served some time as a principal, taking on broader educational responsibilities. Her outstanding musical ability was so celebrated that she was presented with a piano on her Silver Jubilee, a special honor that recognized her unique contributions. She was also known for her wry and subtle sense of humor, a wonderful personality trait that adds another layer to her character, making her more relatable and engaging. Even in declining health, she remained well-read and creative with her crochet hook, specializing in scarves and bear claw afghans, showing her enduring creativity and resilience in later life.
Her impact extended far beyond her immediate classrooms. Among her thousands of pupils, several went on to become diocesan religious clergy, a testament to her powerful influence and inspiration as an educator and spiritual guide. She held priests in great love and esteem, especially her own brother, William, highlighting the strong family bonds even across different paths of service. She loved visiting friends and accompanied her sisters and community on their travels, showing a sociable and adventurous side that sometimes defies the stereotype of cloistered nuns.
Sister Blanche died peacefully on February 19, 1983, at Clementine Residence in Redbud, Illinois, at the impressive age of 88. Her Mass of Christian burial was held on February 23, 1983, at the Mother House Chapel, a fitting tribute to a life lived in profound service and unwavering devotion. Her story is a testament to the quiet power of a life dedicated to faith and education, often in challenging circumstances, truly fulfilling the mission of paying attention to the details, to appreciate the individual contributions to the larger tapestry of human history.
Finally, we come to Clara Sophia, whose life, sadly, was marked by quiet struggle and immense challenges. She was born on August 26, 1897, in Jim Henry Township, Miller County, Missouri. The sources indicate that she faced significant health challenges from birth, being described as mentally retarded and physically handicapped. End quote. It's a sobering detail that reminds us of the hardships and the stark lack of comprehensive support systems for individuals with such conditions in that era, often leaving families to bear the burden alone.
Her later life shows the different arrangements made for her care within the family and community, reflecting the best efforts of her family to provide for her. In 1935, she lived in Kansas City, Missouri, likely under the care of family members. By the 1940 census, she resided at St. Mary's home in Carlisle, Clinton County, Illinois, which was likely an institutional setting providing specialized care, a testament to the family's efforts to ensure her well-being in a time when such facilities were few and far between.
Her passing occurred on December 1st, 1942, in East St. Louis, St. Clair County, Illinois, at age 45, in a hospital following an operation for a tumor. What truly speaks volumes about family ties and unwavering care in the face of immense hardship is the detail that her brother, Reverend William Roels, pastor of the Saints Peter and Paul Church of Boonville, personally brought her remains back to Mary's home.
Funeral services were conducted the following day, and she was buried in the Catholic cemetery there. This act by her prominent priest brother underscores the deep family bonds, love, and responsibility, even for a sibling with significant lifelong challenges. She was also remembered for historical clarity as a daughter of Bernard and Manley from the old Gonketting farm, tying her back directly to the family's origins in America. It's a poignant end to a challenging life, but one that emphasizes the enduring care within the family. Hashtag outro. What an incredible journey we've taken today, following the Roels family from a small Belgian town to the rugged American Midwest, and then further through California, Florida, and beyond. It really drives home the profound point that sometimes the deepest understanding comes not from broad strokes, but from paying attention to the intricate, seemingly small details. Every date, every occupation, every newspaper clipping, every personal anecdote, all of it, meticulously compiled by Hans van Lanschot, builds into this rich tapestry of human experience. It's truly a masterclass in how granular information can create a compelling narrative, revealing the profound impact of individual choices.
Indeed. This deep dive into the Roels family history, so painstakingly researched and compiled, showcases the indomitable resilience of the human spirit, the profound impact of unwavering faith, and the enduring power of family bonds in the face of immense challenges like immigration, personal loss, and the untamed frontier. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it illustrates the very fabric of American settlement, woven together by countless individual daring lives and the diverse contributions that built this nation, one family, one farm, one decision at a time. It's a powerful testament to the value of detailed historical research, reminding us that behind every grand historical narrative are countless individual stories, each one a universe of its own.
So, what does this all mean for you, our listener? Perhaps it's an invitation to look closer at the details in your own family's history, or even in the seemingly mundane stories and facts you encounter every day. Because often, it's in those precise nuggets of information that the most surprising insights and the most resonant aha moments reside, unlocking a deeper understanding of the world around you, what details might be waiting for you to uncover, and what new understanding might they unlock about your own story, or the stories that have shaped us all.